Now we're up to section 2, which is the surgical kit we use. And we're going to go over the parts. Here is the MIS surgical kit for implants. MIS stands for Make It Simple. Now I know there's a lot going on over here, but we will be covering each of these segments thoroughly in detail, and we have a video to go over it one more time like all the other sections we've done so far. First thing you need to know is when you open up the implant, there are a few sections. This is section 1. Right over here, you see a number 1. This is section 2. You see a section number 2. This is section number 3. And all of these are parts or assistant tools that we will need. And then right over here, there's a ratchet. And we'll cover all of this in a second. So now we open our kit and we're ready to begin our surgery. And here's the step-by-step protocol for the implant placements. And we're going to cover all of these steps in a moment. And what we love about the MIS kit, it's color coordinated, which we'll learn the colors in a moment, and also very easy to follow. When we open our kit, on the left side, we see right over here a special toolkit that says a depth gauge. It tells you that if you take any of these drills, you put them against it, it'll tell you what the depths are. And as you could see right over here, you could tell that there is 6 millimeters, 8 millimeters, 10, 11, 13, 16. And this is a twist drill depth marks, and they help us know where we are and what depths we're going, and we'll cover this more in detail as we move forward. Right over here is the first drill set. They're called the marking drills, and that's the number 1 that we have here. And number 1 is very important. There are 2 drills. When we start and we look at our kit, on number 1, you would see that the top one, the round one, is called the marking drill, and you can see right over here it says marking drill. It says the start point, so you know where you're beginning. And the other one is called the spade drill. Both of these break through the outer layer of bone. This is how the marking drill looks, and it's right over here as you can see on top. And this is the spade drill when it actually makes the first incision. Now, if we look carefully, the spade drill would pop a hole into the bone. The marking drill would also pop a hole but make a mark indentation. Some doctors prefer the spade drill because it actually drills through the bone. Some doctors like the round burr with the marking drill, and you're not going into the depth, you're just breaking through the outer dense cortical portion of the bone. After that, we move to the second zone. Here we have the pilot drills. Now these pilot drills, they range from 6, the smallest size, all the way up to 16. And let's take a closer look. If we were to turn this to the side and lift up from their positions, from these positions, if we were to pick them up, if you could see 6 millimeters is short, 8 is next, and it continues all the way up to 16. And they would be all the pilot drills are used to get to the length of the implant, like over here, the first drill that we saw in our video. And they all line up against the second row. If you want to take a quick look at the pilot drills, here are the lengths. This shows detail that we have 6 millimeter length, 8, 10, 11.5, 13, 16, and we'll cover this in a moment why that's important. But the key takeaway is from these pilot drills, they have a built-in stopper. Now this stopper is right over here so that when you're drilling and when you hit the depth of 6 millimeters, it's not drilling anymore. It hits the bone. If we're drilling with a 16 and we drill all the way, it'll stop at 16. These are built-in stoppers, so you cannot go beyond the depth that you selected. And that's so awesome about this. Now, if we look over here, we take the drill and we place it right over here, it goes to 10 millimeters. There would be a stopper. This stopper would stop us from going any further. So in this case, since it's 10 millimeters, we would be using this one that's right here in the center. And if you could see a 10 on the bottom, and you can see it says pilot drill, and the size for this is 2.4 millimeters. Now, looking at the implant details, let's get an introduction to implant sizes. Before we go and place implants and we integrate them into the bone, we need to know the length of an implant, that's top to bottom, and we need to know the width side to side of an implant. And over here is a quick overview of all the implant sizes for MIS. Other implants are similar. As long as you know one, you could always learn all the others. And the implant system is very simple. And the way you're going to memorize it is from 6 to 10, it goes up in twos. 6 millimeters, add 2, you go to 8. Add 2, you go to 10. Now from 10 to 13 and 16, you increase by 3 millimeters. The only thing is 10 plus 3 is 13, 13 plus 3 is 16. Between 10 and 13, there was one size introduced, and it was dividing the 10 to 13 in half, which is the 11.5. And in this case, the 11.5 is the only one that was added, because sometimes you need to be between 10 and 13. Ideal implant length is around 10. Max is 13. Now we needed something in between. When the key takeaway is here, for 16 millimeters, it's used very rarely if we have a lot of bone, and 6 millimeters and 8 millimeters are basically your rescue sizes in case a lot of bone has been lost and there's no other way. But ideally, if you stay within 10 to 13, even maybe 8 to 13, that's the zone that you need to know. And the length is add by 2s to 10, and then add by 3s to 16, except you add 1 in between 10 and 13, you're dividing it in half. Now moving over to the width, ideally implant systems were designed with 4 sizes. A size 4, a size 5, a 6, and a size 3. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now what happened was it was really tough to get a 4 millimeter size done because the bone was either 4 or less or a little bit more than 4. So the size number 4 was divided into 2 implants. It was a little bit taken away from number 4, like take away 0.25 millimeters. That's how we got 3.75 millimeter platform. And if you add a little bit to the 4 millimeter size, it would be 4.2. That's how these two sizes were generated. Now 3 millimeters is pretty hard to get in the 2-piece implant because if you think about it, we're placing an implant at high speeds, you might fracture or it might not have enough support. So to get 2-piece implants, you needed to go a little beyond 3 millimeters. So it's a 3.3 millimeter. That's how this measurement got into the field. Anything that's 3 millimeters or less is usually considered a narrow implant or a mini implant, better yet, mini implant. And these implants, if you notice, they categorized. 3 millimeters is considered narrow. Anything below 3 would be a mini. Number 4 is the standard. This is the ideal implant used on the market, about 4 millimeters. And remember, we divided the 4 into a little less, a little more. And then we have the wide world. Anything that's above 4 millimeters, because it's not a standard, would be a wide. So if you look at it, 5 and 6 would fall under wide. So in this case, if we divide this would be standard. Anything below 4 is narrow. Anything above 4 is wide.